The Vex flagship Eternal Dominion hovered above what remained of Earth's last major city. Admiral Kraz watched from the command bridge as the final human stronghold burned. Smoke billowed from the ruins of once proud skyscrapers, their steel skeletons twisted by plasma fire. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture of satisfaction among his kind. "Send word to the Armada," Kraz instructed his communications officer. "Earth has fallen. The human resistance is eliminated." For 3 brutal years, the Vex Imperium had waged war against humanity. What started as a dispute over mining rights in the asteroid belt had escalated into full-scale invasion. Humans, with their primitive technology and fragmented governments, never stood a chance against a species that had conquered 17 worlds across 3 star systems. "Admiral," his science officer called, "I'm detecting unusual activity beneath the surface. Multiple energy signatures, approximately 2 kilometers below the city center." Kraz dismissed the concern with a flick of his scaled hand. "Residual power systems. Their infrastructure is collapsing." "But sir," "Enough. Dispatch ground forces to secure the area. I want prisoners for interrogation." The Vex had overlooked something critical about humans: their remarkable ability to adapt, to survive against impossible odds. Deep beneath the ruined city, in bunkers designed to withstand even nuclear strikes, General Emma Davis studied holographic displays of Vex troop movements with her senior staff. "They think we're beaten," she said calmly. "That's our advantage." Colonel Jack Rivera nodded grimly. "Operation Phoenix is ready, General. All sleeper cells report green status." "What about Project Lazarus?" Emma asked. Chief Engineer Marcus Lee gestured to a massive cylindrical device that dominated the center of the command bunker. "The quantum transmitter is operational. Once activated, every Vex system within range will be compromised." Emma walked to a reinforced viewport overlooking an underground hangar where thousands of soldiers prepared for battle. These weren't ordinary troops. These were the survivors, the ones who had lost everything to the alien invaders, now augmented with experimental tech reverse-engineered from captured Vex weaponry. "The Vex believe they understand human psychology," Emma addressed her officers. "They expect us to surrender when our cities fall, when our governments collapse. But they've never understood what makes us different from the other species they conquered." "And what's that, General?" a young lieutenant asked. "We don't accept defeat. We evolve. We fight back harder." Emma turned to face her staff. "For 3 years, we let them believe they were winning. We sacrificed our cities while building our strength. We studied their technology, their tactics, their weaknesses." Marcus approached with a small device. "The command key, General. Once you activate it, there's no turning back." Emma took the key and inserted it into the console. "Send the coded message to all cells. Remember the dawn. Operation Phoenix commences in 6 hours." Aboard the Eternal Dominion, Admiral Kraz was preparing his victory speech when alarms blared across the bridge. "Sir, we're detecting multiple launches from hidden silos across the planet." Kraz stared in disbelief as hundreds of objects streaked toward his fleet. "Impossible. Their missile capability was destroyed weeks ago." "These aren't conventional missiles, Admiral," his tactical officer reported, panic evident in his voice. "These are. I don't know what these are." As the first wave of quantum-shielded human fighters reached the Vex fleet, Emma's voice transmitted across all frequencies, including the Vex command channel. "You thought the battle was won. You were wrong. This isn't the end of humanity. This is just the beginning of your nightmare." The Vex fleet scattered like insects under a spotlight as the first wave of Earth's counterattack reached orbit. These weren't the crude rockets the aliens had easily neutralized in earlier battles. These were Firebirds, hybrid crafts combining stolen Vex technology with human ingenuity, piloted by the best survivors Earth had to offer. Admiral Kraz gripped his command chair as his flagship shuddered under the impact of weapons he couldn't comprehend. "How is this possible?" he demanded. Their military capability was assessed at less than 15%. Sir, his intelligence officer stammered, it appears they've been hiding, feeding us false data. These craft have quantum shielding we've only developed for our newest dreadnoughts. On the bridge of the lead Firebird, Commander Alma Reed watched her tactical display as the formation tore through the Vex defensive line. Her craft, Phoenix 1, executed a perfect spiral through enemy fire, its adaptive shields absorbing energy blasts that would have vaporized earlier human vessels. Phoenix Squadron, maintain attack pattern Delta, she ordered. Target their command and control systems first. Below, on Earth's surface, the second phase of Operation Phoenix unfolded. From hidden bunkers around the globe, soldiers in powered armor suits emerged. These suits, developed in secret labs during the occupation, enhanced human strength tenfold and incorporated personal shield technology. Colonel Rivera led the ground assault on the Vex landing zone in what was once downtown Boston. Remember, aim for the junction between head and thorax, he reminded his troops over the tactical net. Their armor is weakest there. The Vex ground forces, expecting to mop up survivors, instead found themselves surrounded by technologically augmented human warriors fighting with unprecedented ferocity. In her underground command center, General Emma Davis monitored both the space and ground battles. Activate Project Lazarus, she ordered. Marcus Lee nodded solemnly and initiated the sequence on his console. Across the globe, quantum transmitters activated simultaneously, sending precisely calibrated signals directly to the Vex fleet. Aboard the Eternal Dominion, systems began failing inexplicably. Navigation crashed. Weapons went offline. Even life support flickered. What's happening? Kraz roared as his bridge descended into chaos. Some kind of virus, his tech specialist reported, attempting to bypass corrupted systems. It's like nothing I've seen before. It's adapting to our countermeasures faster than we can implement them. The Vex had never encountered a situation like this. Their military doctrine was based on overwhelming force and technological superiority. They had no contingency for an enemy who absorbed their technology and turned it against them. Back on Earth, Emma allowed herself a moment of grim satisfaction as reports flooded in. The Vex were in disarray, their coordination shattered by Project Lazarus. The virus, engineered by combining human AI with recovered Vex code, was systematically dismantling their battle network. They thought we'd fight with honor, with rules, Emma told her staff. They never understood that when humanity's survival is at stake, we'll use every dirty trick in the book and invent new ones. But victory was far from assured. The Vex still outnumbered humans by a significant margin, and Emma knew Admiral Kraz wouldn't surrender easily. As if confirming her thoughts, the main view screen flickered to life, showing Kraz's rage-contorted face. "You primitive savages," he hissed. "You think your treachery will save you. I still have enough firepower to reduce your planet to ash." Emma met his gaze calmly. "You had your chance for a clean victory, Admiral. You should have made sure we were actually defeated before you declared it so." As she terminated the connection, emergency alerts blared. The Vex flagship was changing position, moving to deploy its primary weapon, a gravity lance capable of triggering earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. "Phoenix Squadron," Emma called. "The Eternal Dominion is preparing to fire its main weapon. You need to disable it now." Alma's voice came back, tense but determined. "We're on it, General. But their point defenses are still active. We'll need a miracle to get close enough." "Then make one, Commander," Emma replied. "Humanity survived this long on miracles and stubborn refusal to die. One more shouldn't be too much to ask." Commander Alma Reed had seen many impossible things during the war, but the sight before her now tested the limits of belief. The Vex flagship's gravity lance was powering up, its massive emitter glowing with ominous energy as it aimed toward Earth's crust. "Phoenix Squadron, new plan," she announced. "Form up on me. We're going straight down their throat." "Commander, that's suicide," her wingman protested. "No, that's geometry," Alma countered. Their weapon aperture has to remain open to charge. That's our way in. She adjusted Phoenix One's course, leading her squadron directly toward the gaping maw of the gravity lance. The Vex point defense systems tracked them, filling space with a lethal mesh of energy beams and projectiles. Evasive pattern echo. Push your inertial dampeners to maximum. Alma ordered as her craft shuddered under near misses. 3 firebirds exploded in quick succession, but the remaining 7 pressed on, weaving through the defensive fire. As they approached the weapon aperture, Alma transmitted final instructions. Release payload on my mark, then brake hard to escape the blast radius. Inside the Eternal Dominion, Admiral Kraz watched in disbelief as the human fighters flew directly toward his ship's primary weapon. Intensify forward firepower. Don't let them near the gravity lance, he commanded. Sir, we can't close the emitter while it's charging, his weapons officer reminded him. If we abort now, the feedback could destroy the ship. Kraz slammed his fist on the console. Then destroy those fighters. As Phoenix Squadron reached the critical distance, Alma gave the order. Mark. 7 specially designed quantum bombs detached from the Firebirds, propelled directly into the gravity lance's aperture. The human fighters banked away sharply as the bombs detonated in sequence, creating a chain reaction that surged back through the weapon's power conduits. The Eternal Dominion convulsed as explosions rippled through its superstructure. The gravity lance imploded, taking a significant portion of the flagship with it. On Earth, Colonel Rivera's ground forces had established control over 3 major Vex landing zones. His troops moved systematically, securing alien technology and eliminating pockets of resistance. General, Rivera reported to Emma, we've captured their ground command center intact. Their troops are disorganized without central coordination. Excellent work, Colonel, Emma responded. Have Marcus's tech teams start immediate analysis of any data you recover. In the command bunker, Marcus was monitoring the effect of Project Lazarus on the Vex fleet. The virus has compromised approximately 60% of their systems, he reported, but they're adapting faster than expected. We have maybe 12 hours before they develop an effective countermeasure. Emma nodded grimly. Then we need to press our advantage now, while they're still reeling. She opened a channel to all human forces. This is General Davis. The Vex flagship is crippled, and their ground forces are in disarray. But this battle is far from over. We need to secure their landing craft and capture as much of their technology as possible. Remember your training. Remember what they did to our world. But remember, we're fighting to rebuild, not just for revenge. In space, the damaged Eternal Dominion limped away from Earth orbit, trailing debris and atmosphere. On its bridge, Admiral Kraz surveyed the chaos around him, his pride shattered along with his ship. Retreat, he ordered, the word bitter in his mouth. All vessels, disengage and regroup at contingency point Omega. Sir, his second-in-command objected, the High Command will view any retreat as. The High Command isn't here. Kraz snapped. These humans, we underestimated them. Severely. We need to reassess. As the Vex fleet began to withdraw, Alma's squadron regrouped, pursuing the fleeing ships to ensure they left Earth's vicinity. General, Alma reported, the enemy is retreating. Should we pursue beyond lunar orbit? Emma considered the question carefully. Negative, Commander. Our primary objective is securing Earth. Let them run for now, but track their vector. We'll want to know where they're going and if they're calling for reinforcements. In the aftermath of the day's battle, Emma walked through the command bunker, nodding to exhausted staff who had worked tirelessly to coordinate the counterattack. She paused at the main strategic display, studying the retreating Vex fleet markers. They'll be back, Marcus said, joining her, and they won't underestimate us again. Good, Emma replied, because next time, we won't be fighting for survival. We'll be taking the fight to them. 2 weeks after humanity's unexpected counteroffensive, the war had entered a new phase. The Vex no longer held Earth in their grasp, but they maintained control of Mars and the outer system. Admiral Kraz, his reputation tarnished but still in command, had established a defensive line around the Red Planet. On the recovered Vex battlecruiser rechristened Defiance, Marcus Lee led a team of engineers working around the clock to understand and adapt the alien technology. The massive vessel, captured when its crew abandoned ship after the failure of its systems, had become humanity's forward operating base. The propulsion system is unlike anything we theorize, Marcus explained to General Emma Davis during her inspection. It doesn't just bend space. It exists in multiple dimensional states simultaneously. Emma ran her hand along a console covered in both Vex symbols and human adaptations. Can we replicate it? Not yet, Marcus admitted, but we've made the existing system compatible with our control interfaces. She'll fly, General. Emma nodded, pleased. How long until the Defiance is combat ready? 3 days, maybe 4. We've integrated our quantum shielding with their hull matrix. Theoretically, it should be twice as effective as their original configuration. Commander Alma Reed joined them, her expression serious. We've decoded more of their communications. The Vex aren't just regrouping. They're calling for reinforcements from their home system. Timeline? Emma asked. Based on their FTL capabilities, 3 weeks minimum, possibly longer. Emma processed this information, her mind already formulating strategies. Then we have a narrow window. We can't let them establish a foothold in our system again. The 3 officers moved to the strategic planning room, where a holographic display showed the positions of both human and Vex forces throughout the solar system. The Vex still outnumber us, Colonel Rivera pointed out, joining the briefing. Even with our technological adaptations, a direct assault on their Mars position would be costly. Then we don't fight fair, Emma stated flatly. The Vex think linearly. It's both their strength and weakness. They expect us to either hide on Earth or launch a frontal assault. We need to do something they won't anticipate. Alma studied the display. What if we bypass Mars entirely? Strike at their supply chain here, at Ganymede. She pointed to Jupiter's largest moon, where the Vex had established their primary refueling station. Cut off the head, and the body dies, Rivera mused. It could work, but the Jovian defenses are considerable, which is why we won't be attacking conventionally, Emma decided. Marcus, is Project Mirror viable? Marcus hesitated. The infiltration suits are ready, but untested in actual combat conditions. The camouflage technology is revolutionary. It doesn't just bend light. It projects false Vex biosignatures. Perfect, Emma said. We insert a small team onto Ganymede using the captured Vex shuttle. They deploy the quantum disruptors at key points, then extract before the system fails. I'll lead the insertion team. Alma volunteered immediately. Emma shook her head. Negative, Commander. I need you coordinating our Firebird squadrons for the follow-up strike. Colonel Rivera will lead the ground team. Rivera straightened. It would be my honor, General. For the next several days, preparation for Operation Shadow Strike consumed all available resources. The ground team, consisting of Rivera and 11 specially trained operators, underwent intensive drills using the infiltration suits. Each suit was a marvel of hybrid technology, incorporating Vex materials with human innovations. Meanwhile, Alma prepared the space component of the mission, training her pilots for the precision strikes that would follow the initial sabotage. The night before the operation, Emma found Rivera in the Defiance's observation deck, staring out at the stars. Having second thoughts, Colonel? She asked, joining him. Rivera shook his head. Not about the mission. I'm wondering what happens if we win this war. The Earth we're fighting for. It's not the same planet anymore. The captured Vex shuttle approached Ganymede on a standard supply run trajectory, transmitting authorization codes harvested from the Vex BattleNet. Inside, Colonel Rivera and his 11 operators sat in tense silence, each encased in an infiltration suit that mimicked Vex biological signatures. Ganymede control to supply shuttle VX-773, came the transmission. Verification required. The AI system Marcus had programmed responded with perfect Vex intonation, completing the authentication sequence. After an agonizing pause, the reply came. VX-773, you are cleared for docking Bay 12. Collective relief filled the shuttle, though no one spoke. The slightest deviation from Vex communication patterns could trigger alarms. As they docked with the massive station orbiting Ganymede, Rivera activated the team's neural link, a silent communication system that allowed them to coordinate without audible speech. Remember the simulation, he transmitted. Teams of 2, 12 minutes to plant your disruptors, then back to extraction point. If you're compromised, the mission continues without you. The shuttle doors opened to reveal a Vex loading dock teeming with activity. Workers moved containers of refined hydrogen-3, while security drones patrolled overhead. The human team moved with practiced precision, their infiltration suits projecting the appearance and biosignatures of Vex maintenance workers. Rivera and his partner, Lieutenant Anna Wilson, headed for the central power distribution hub. The other 5 teams split toward their assigned targets: communications, life support, defense systems, fuel processing, and the command center. Team 2 reporting. Came Surgeon Patel's thoughts across the neural link. Approaching communications hub. Security appears normal. Team 3 at life support. Proceeding as planned, added Lieutenant Rodriguez. Rivera and Wilson reached the power distribution center, a cathedral-like chamber filled with pulsing energy conduits. 2 Vex technicians worked at a central console. I'll create a distraction, Wilson transmitted. You place the disruptor. She deliberately dropped a tool, drawing the attention of the Vex workers. While they investigated, Rivera attached the quantum disruptor to the main power junction, a small device that would synchronize with the others to create a cascading system failure. Primary target secured, he confirmed. 9 minutes to extraction. Across the station, the other teams reported similar progress. The quantum disruptors were being placed systematically at the station's critical nodes. Then came the first complication. Team 5 compromised. The urgent thought burst across the neural link. Security drones detected our devices. They're locking down the command center. Rivera made a split-second decision. Continue the mission. All teams, accelerate timeline. 6 minutes to extraction. In the command center, Major Tom Grant and his partner found themselves trapped as Vex security protocols activated. Grant made a choice that wasn't in the mission parameters. He triggered his disruptor early. The localized effect immediately crashed systems in the command center, buying time for the other teams, but sacrificing his own escape route. Command center disruptor active, he transmitted calmly. The rest of you get out. We'll handle things here. Back on Earth, Emma and Marcus monitored the operation from the command bunker, receiving telemetry from the neural link system. Something's wrong, Marcus said, studying the data stream. Team 5 triggered early. Emma's face remained impassive, but her knuckles whitened as she gripped the console. Can the rest complete the mission? Yes, but extraction just got a lot more complicated. On Ganymede, Rivera's team regrouped at the shuttle, performing a head count as team members arrived. Teams 2, 3, and 6 accounted for, Rivera noted. Where's 4? They ran into a patrol near fuel processing, Wilson reported. They're taking an alternate route. The Vex response to the destruction of Ganymede Station was swift and furious. Within hours, their fleet around Mars broke orbit, half the vessels racing toward Jupiter, while the others moved to reinforce their remaining positions throughout the system. Aboard the Defiance, General Emma Davis watched the Vex fleet movements with grim satisfaction. They're reacting exactly as we predicted. Commander Alma Reed nodded, splitting their forces, rushing to defend without proper reconnaissance. They still haven't adapted to human unpredictability. Or they're too arrogant to believe we could threaten multiple targets simultaneously, Colonel Rivera added, fresh from the Ganymede mission, and still wearing the fatigue of someone who had lost troops under his command. Emma turned to the holographic display showing the solar system. Phase 2 commences now. Commander Reed, you have go for Operation Tripwire. Alma saluted and left to board her flagship Firebird. Within minutes, her voice echoed through the command channel. All Firebird squadrons, form up. We're implementing Tripwire protocol on my mark. Across the asteroid belt, 200 Firebird craft had been waiting in powered-down configurations, virtually invisible against the background radiation of space. At Alma's signal, they activated simultaneously, each launching dozens of specialized drones. These drones, little more than engines attached to quantum communication devices, scattered throughout the space between Mars and Jupiter, creating an invisible net of sensors that would track all Vex movements. On Mars, Admiral Kraz received reports of the drone deployment with growing fury. "They're mapping our movements," he snarled to his officers. "Destroy those devices." "Sir, there are thousands of them," his tactical officer replied. "And they're using some variant of our own quantum communication technology. We can't jam them effectively." Kraz pounded his control panel. "These humans, how are they adapting our technology so quickly?" What Kraz couldn't know was that humanity's rapid technological advancement wasn't merely the result of studying captured Vex technology. Project Mirror had revealed that Vex systems were fundamentally based on mathematical principles, similar to theories developed by human physicists just before the invasion. The war had simply accelerated development along paths humans were already exploring. Back on the Defiance, Marcus approached Emma with new information. The Vex reinforcement fleet from their home system has accelerated its timeline. New estimated arrival: 8 days. Emma absorbed this news without visible reaction. "Then we proceed with Phase 3 immediately. Contact Earth Command. I want all reserve Firebird squadrons launched within 6 hours. General," Rivera cautioned, "if we commit everything now and fail, we won't get another chance anyway." Emma finished for him. "The reinforcement fleet will overwhelm us regardless of how many resources we hold in reserve." She addressed the command staff. "Our strategy remains unchanged. We use Tripwire to track Vex fleet movements, then execute simultaneous strikes on their remaining infrastructure throughout the system. By the time their reinforcements arrive, they'll find no support structure waiting." As preparations for the final phase intensified, Emma found a moment to speak privately with Alma before she departed. "The Firebird squadrons are ready," Alma reported. "But I should warn you, some of the pilots are talking about more than just driving the Vex from our system. They want retribution. They want to follow the Vex home." Emma's expression hardened. "That's not our mission, Commander. Make that clear to your pilots. We're fighting for survival, not conquest." Alma nodded. "I understand. But you should know, there's a growing sentiment that the only way to ensure human safety is to eliminate the Vex threat entirely." "One war at a time, Alma," Emma said wearily. "First, we reclaim our system. Then we can debate our species' future." As Alma departed, Marcus joined Emma at the viewport. "The modified gravity lance is installed and calibrated," he reported. "We've improved the original Vex design significantly." "Will it work against their flagship?" Emma asked. "Theoretically, yes. But we'll only get one shot before they adapt their defenses." The skies above Mars blazed with the fury of two civilizations locked in existential combat. The Defiance, now the flagship of humanity's fleet, led the assault against Kraz's consolidated forces. Surrounding the massive converted battlecruiser, Firebird squadrons engaged Vex fighters in a dance of destruction, weaving through plasma fire and missile contrails. Inside the Defiance's command center, Emma stood resolute as the ship shuddered under enemy fire. Status of the gravity lance: charging at 83%, Marcus reported from his station. 4 minutes to full capacity. "The Vex flagship is changing position," Rivera warned, studying the tactical display. "They're trying to protect it behind their defensive line." Emma nodded. "They'd finally figured out our target. Commander Reed, Can your squadrons create an opening? Alma's voice came through the comm system, punctuated by the sounds of battle. Already on it, General. Phoenix Squadron is executing maneuver Omega-6 now. On the main view screen, Emma watched as a tight formation of Firebirds plunged toward the Vex defense perimeter, drawing fire from multiple enemy vessels. The human pilots executed maneuvers that would have killed unaugmented humans, their neural interfaces allowing them to withstand key forces that pushed the boundaries of survivability. They're too close to the planetary defense grid, Rivera observed tensely. That's the point, Emma replied. Watch. As the Vex defense platforms targeted the incoming Firebirds, Alma's squadron suddenly scattered in precise directions. The Vex targeting systems, momentarily confused, inadvertently locked onto their own ships. Before the algorithms could correct, several automated defense platforms fired on Vex vessels, creating momentary chaos in their formation. Now, Emma ordered, full thrust toward the breach. The Defiance surged forward, its modified engines pushing it through the gap in the Vex defenses. Subsidiary human vessels followed in its wake, forming a spearhead aimed directly at the Vex flagship. Admiral Kraz, watching from his command bridge, recognized the human strategy too late. All vessels, protect the sovereign dominion, he commanded. Concentrated fire on the human flagship. The space between the opposing flagships became a maelstrom of destructive energy as both sides committed their full firepower. The Defiance pushed relentlessly forward despite mounting damage to its outer systems. Hull breaches on decks 4 through 7, reported a tactical officer. Automated sealing systems engage. Gravity lance at 96%, Marcus called out, his hands dancing across the controls. But our targeting systems are degrading under their electronic warfare. Emma made a swift decision. Divert power from non-essential systems. I want that lance at full capacity now. Throughout the ship, lighting dimmed as power redirected to the primary weapon. Life support reduced to minimum levels, and artificial gravity wavered. The Defiance became a ghost ship driving toward its target with singular purpose. The Vex flagship is attempting to retreat behind the Martian moon Phobos, Rivera observed. They won't make it, Emma stated with certainty. Alma, keep their escort vessels occupied. We need a clear shot. Outside, Firebird squadrons engaged the Vex escorts with renewed intensity, preventing them from forming a defensive screen around their flagship. Human pilots, knowing the stakes, executed maneuvers that pushed their craft beyond design limitations. Many didn't survive the effort, but their sacrifices created the opportunity Emma needed. Gravity lance at full power, Marcus announced. We have targeting solution. All hands, brace for weapon discharge, Emma ordered shipwide, then nodded to Marcus. Fire. The modified gravity lance activated, channeling energy through dimensional conduits in ways the Vex had never attempted with their own technology. The weapon didn't merely fire a beam. It created a localized distortion in space-time itself, focused directly on the Vex flagship.